Thank you indeed, John. Thank you very much. Can I say, firstly, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm delighted to be here. I'm delighted to be invited to say a few words to you, to share maybe some of my insights and experience around the IT sector within the general construction sector. And when Alan invited me, he almost also made the point that this week is also Enterprise Week, sort of throughout Europe. And again, it's important in these difficult times maybe to reflect, I think, on entrepreneurship and enterprise generally in Ireland and the state of business for all of us. And the first thing that I would say, I guess, is that, you know, my view of business at the moment, although it's challenging, I think we need to look at it slightly different than we have over the last 12 to 18 months. I think within the Irish context, before talking about the construction sector in particular, I think one of the greatest challenges we have in this country at the moment, and have had over the last 12 to 18 months, is that of the negative sentiment that exists within our consumers and within the country generally. And you know, when I ever talk to groups, and I had a fabulous night last night in a graduation ceremony in Ballybor in County Cavan, 150 kids and their parents doing the Leaving Cert, you know, and they were embarking, having done their education, embarking into the economy, looking for jobs or new business, and their parents naturally would have been, you know, apprehensive in terms of their future, and yet they were going out with such enthusiasm, and there is the gap. And so I imparted to them my view of being in business, as challenging as it is, and that is that we must remain positive. If I have three messages when I speak to any business group, I think the first one is about the need for positivity. It's about the need for a belief in ourselves and in our ability to rely on ourselves to move this forward. And there will be changes, and in that comes the second message. What got us to here will not get us to there. And the truth of it is that we need now new leaderships. We need new ways of thinking about things, about businesses, about opportunities, about processes, about markets. We need to be innovative and creative, and it is our ability to respond to the changes in the market that will allow us to either win or fail. And the third thing is, so much of business and of community and of radio stations is about talk. And talk doesn't work unless it's followed up with action. And so when I talk to businesses, it's not enough to wait and to hope, because hope in itself is not a strategy. And so all of our businesses need to have a strategy. But that strategy has to be based in terms of where we're at now. And it also has to be based on a very clear, simple process of where are the opportunities and where do we need to go. And about this negativity, and you know, I don't blame the media for it, although the media amplifies it. But the real challenge is it's the way it percolates down into our society. I was at a conference a couple of months ago, and a little lady in the front row, little old dear, had a small business, and she was saying, you know, Sean, I find it really, really difficult, and you know, I run a business and it's hard times. And she said, I'm really depressed. I was listening to Joe Duffy every day this week. And she said to me, would you have any advice? And I said, turn the hooer off. And so I was speaking at a conference last week, nothing to do with the construction sector. It was to the Irish Dental Association, 550 dentists, all very polite and up to now well regarded and well heeled within the economy. And I opened my comments to them by saying that to me they were no different than electricians. You can imagine how well that went down. And I said to them, here's the thing a lot of people in the building game do not understand, and particularly subcontractors and service providers in. When I now over the last year have trained electricians, I say to them, what do you class yourself as? And they said, we're salespeople, we're tradespeople. And I said, you're a tradesperson, right? Tell me the difference between being a tradesperson and a business owner. What's happened in the construction sector is a mentality of where it's about trade. And the truth of it is, it's not. When I ask the electricians what they do you provide a product or service? Yes. Do you buy raw materials? Yes. Do you have to pay your suppliers? Do you have to manage staff? Do you have to collect debt? Do you have to manage the process of trying to grow a business? And so, by the end of my days training with them, they understand that they are business owners and not tradespeople. But one of the things that I would say about the current downturn is that I have seen a return to common decency in our society. I've seen a return to common decency born out of some shared vulnerability that we're all struggling, and therefore we have to work individually and collectively together to get that out. To get out of it. But the fundamental thing is this, is that I believe that we're back to the core principles of real business, not the madness of the last 10 years. That wasn't real. We were buying apartments in places like Bulgaria where we never had any intention of going, and nobody ever was going to be able to rent them. And the truth of it is, we were buying sofas from Harvey Norman on 3 years credit, interest-free, when the couch we were sitting on was perfectly well. And I say that as a Cavan man who never dreamed of spending money. But now we're back to a more realistic expectation. But more than that, we're back to core values in society. Look at the church. Look at banking. Look at where politics is going. Look at business now. We're back to the fundamentals. It's about trust. It's about credibility. And it's about authenticity. How can I be of service to the sector? How can I do this better? But fundamentally, it's back to the three basic principles of good business. 1, quality. 2, customer service, and 3, value for money. And if you look at the quality of all the products that we've been buying over the last 10 years, a lot of them, the quality was compromised. The consumer now is in control, whether it's state agencies or building whatever it is, the consumer has the buying power, and they will go where the quality is. The second one is about customer service. I am so concerned over the last 10 years about where we went with customer service. You couldn't go into a petrol station, bar and restaurant, but you felt, in terms of trying to get served, that you were interrupting somebody. And we need to change that mentality to focus on the consumer. And it's the same thing in government. I said the other day in the health sector, you need to put the patient at the centre of this whole debate. Otherwise, that's what it's about. Everything else is secondary. And in business, it's the same. And the third one is about value for money. Driven now because the consumer is in charge. And so I think if we go back to the fundamentals of business, and we go back to seeing how can we do our job better and how can we look at the opportunities out there, I think that there is a solid future. And last week, or early this week, with Fergal Quinn and some of the senators, with the support now of the government, we brought through the second reading of a Construction Act, which is to protection for payment of people, not just subcontractors, but it will be architects and engineers and anybody else that provides services, and a way of adjudicating and measuring fast rather than the frustrative, arbitrative processes that are long drawn out for most subcontractors who cannot tackle that. And I have a concern too as well with regard to introducing a UK type Construction Act, but also something from the US model like the Mechanics Lien Act or the Miller Act, where the goods genuinely do belong to the producer or the service provider who put those products into the apartments. I don't have to have a degree in economics or be a barrister to know that when something is wrong, it's wrong. And what's been happening in the construction sector with regard to the non-payment of people is wrong. And the fact that many builders are going in and now pricing jobs at 20% below cost is only on the basis that they have no intention of paying the subcontractors the proper amounts. And they'll call them in a year's time and say, I can give you half of what you're looking for if you take it now. And the poor subcontractor needs to pay his suppliers in order to stay in work. And so we need to change the culture, and we need to do it professionally. And so I believe that this sort of act will move us forward, because the one thing I have learned is that you need a legislative basis to move sometimes the